Is it just me, or does this Monday seem not quite as bad as a normal Monday? You know what? No, Mondays normally suck, don't they? Mondays are usually like, ugh, it's Monday morning. But something about this Monday seems a little different. Something about this Monday just seems a little better to me than it has in the past. Yes, that's right. Rangers are top of the league, 2 points clear of that lot from across the city. And it's been a pretty amazing weekend for us Rangers fans, hasn't it? It's been absolutely superb. Well, we're going to talk obviously about a few different things in today's video. We'll talk a little bit of Mohamed Diomande and the impact that he had during yesterday and what he could potentially hold for Rangers on the run-in to the rest of this season. Also, we'll talk about Tav and his remarkable 2 goals yesterday and how they took him up the scorers charts for Rangers. We're going to have a little look ahead as well to what is upcoming for Rangers over the next few games. And a bit of a tough run. We'll talk over that as well. Yesterday's stats obviously not quite as impressive as Wednesday night stats in terms of shots and shots on target. But as Philippe Clement said in his post-match press conference, it was never possible to play our usual football, our nice football on a pitch like that. I'll be quite honest with you, mate. I wouldn't let my dog walk on that pitch. I really wouldn't. You know what? It was disgusting. It was absolutely foul. I'm serious. I've seen ploughed fields that were better to play on than that pitch that St Johnstone prepared yesterday for the game. Somewhat might feel a little bit, maybe deliberately to slow us down. Possibly. Stats from yesterday. Look at that key stat there. No shots on target. St Johnstone didn't have a single shot on Jack Butland's goal. I've got to say that is very impressive work, not just from the defence, but from the whole team. I think one thing we've got to remember, guys, is you attack as a team, you defend as a team, and you can give the back 4 credit. Of course you can. You know, the back 4 did well yesterday. Of course they did. But it was not just down to the back 4 that we kept that clean sheet. It was also down to the work of Lundstrom, the work of Diomande, the tracking back of Scott Wright to some degree. And we'll talk about Scott Wright in a minute. And also the tracking back of Oscar Cortez as well. The hassling of Todd Cantwell. Everything contributed. Everyone contributed. What is it they always say? Everything from everyone. I think that's definitely what happened yesterday during the game. Everything from everyone. What are the key stats are there for us to talk about a little bit? Well, Rangers 15 shots, 5 on target. Some pretty horrific misses from Cyril Dessers, but we don't want to touch on that today. Pass accuracy was a little bit down, but then again, that's not a surprise on that pitch. And only 1 corner. What a bit of a shock for us, although we don't tend to score from corners, so that's no great miss at all. Well, let's talk a little bit of Mohamed Diomande. Dio got his first goal yesterday, and what a terrific goal it was indeed from Dio. So nice to see Dio make his first full start for the club. You know, a ball that went forward, Silva gets battles for it, it breaks to Diomande. He touches it with his left onto his right, a shot, and leaves Mitov with absolutely no chance whatsoever. A great finish. But his game was about so much more than just that goal. I think we've got to remember as well, you know, when we judge how he played yesterday, when we look at that performance that he gave yesterday, was it a complete performance? No. Was it the best he can probably do? No, it wasn't. Why? Well, lots of factors contribute to that. Number 1, that pitch. Number 2, the fact that he's obviously still making his way back to match fitness. The guy has not played a competitive game, full competitive game for yesterday since November. That's the first thing. He's learning the Scottish game. He's come from the Danish game. Yes, Scandinavian football is very physical, so there is a similarity there between Scandinavian football and Scottish football. But there is obviously a stepping up in class, a stepping up in expectation, a stepping up in the weight of the jersey as well between Norgesland and Rangers. Rangers been one of the biggest clubs in world football. So let's look at some stats from yesterday to do with Mohamed Diomande. You know, we've also got to remember this kid is 22 years old. He's still learning his game. Obviously, under Philippe Clement and Stefan van der Heyden, Alex Ray et al., he will continue to develop and really come on. So he played for the full 90 minutes, which was interesting, especially after Philippe Clement said that Dio and Oscar Cortez were not ready to play for the full 90 minutes, maybe 60, maybe 70, but not the full 90. Dio gave us the full 90 in yesterday's game. 1 goal. He created 2 chances for others. Excellent. 3 out of 4 tackles he won. He got 9 ball recoveries. He won 6 out of 6 ground duels as well. That's a good set of stats for a midfielder. A really spot on couple of stats, from a midfield player. So very spot on indeed. A good all-round performance. And what was interesting as well was in the post-match press conference that Philippe Clement gave when he spoke about Dio. He was asked, is that Dio's natural position? Is that the position he will play in? That kind of 8 role alongside Lunny? And the manager said, no, I've told you he can play in any of the 3 central midfield roles. So obviously saying that he can play in Lunny's role, he can play in Cantwell's role, he can play in the role he played in today. He is a hybrid player. He can also play on the wing as well. He has reportedly played on the wing for Nordjylland as well. So that's all very positive moving forward for Mohamed Diomande and what he brings to this team. Like I said, I think he can only go from strength to strength and develop over the coming weeks. Obviously, Philippe Clement will continue to rotate. Obviously, Philippe Clement will continue to use his players sparingly as he seeks to maintain fitness in towards the end of the season, with the fact we will still obviously be battling on 3 fronts, hopefully for a long period: the Scottish League, the Scottish Cup, and hopefully the Europa League as well. But I thought yesterday Dio was absolutely spot on. He did very well and was very much up there for man of the match in my estimations. I think he got man of the match from the Rangers TV guys and from the sponsors. I'm not quite sure, obviously, what you guys think, who the man of the match was. For me, John Souttar was excellent, I thought. Tav was excellent as well. Dio was great, and I thought Diomande Sterling was fantastic when he came on as well. I thought Diomande just showed what an absolutely fabulous all-round player he really is in the game yesterday, in terms of what he did, in terms of playing on that right wing. He can play right back, he can play as a defensive central midfielder, he can play in the 8 role. He really is the modern hybrid footballer and exactly what we're looking for. And I really thought that Sterling was absolutely superb and probably would have been man of the match had he played from the first minute to the last. I've got to say about one thing as well about this man here yesterday. I thought he worked really hard yesterday. Perhaps didn't have the look, or perhaps didn't, some of the things that he tried didn't quite come off yesterday. The pitch really didn't suit his style a little bit yesterday. He's very much a clever player who likes those little flicks, those tricks, those quick passes, bring the ball down, move it around. I think that pitch didn't suit that at all, but he still worked exceptionally hard and put in a real shift for the team. One thing I do want to say, though, is the treatment that he got from the St Johnstone players was absolutely disgusting. I thought they tried to kick him out of the game yesterday. They really were a bunch of Neanderthalic thugs in the way they performed and the way they kicked poor Todd all over the place. What was worrying about Todd, though, yesterday was when he came off, an ice pack was immediately applied to his hamstring. With 2 big games against Hearts and Kilmarnock coming up, we need Todd Cantwell fit, and it is certainly a concern to me if Todd Cantwell misses any of those games. We certainly can't afford to be doing without Todd, especially, for me, for those next 2 games, especially as obviously Hearts is at Ibrox on a pitch that will suit Todd, and going to Rugby Park, which is always a tough place to go. And given the fact that Kilmarnock are banging form and have taken lots of points from the old firm this season, obviously beating ourselves and Celtic at Rugby Park and getting that draw against that lot at Celtic Park over the weekend. So Todd, for me, getting him back, getting him fit is absolutely imperative. And I do hope that Todd is back very soon. No real word on him yet. I'm sure that will be brought up at the press conference and next time Philippe Clement speaks to the media. I'm sure they'll have updates tomorrow morning. Hopefully at some point we'll have an update for you on what is going on with Todd Cantwell. So, look, that was, like I said, slightly concerned about the treatment he got and the lack of protection he got at times from the referee. One player who I did think was a bit of a waste of a jersey yesterday was Scott Wright. I genuinely thought he was dreadful yesterday. In my post-match ratings, I gave him a 0, and I never give players 0s, but to be honest with you, all I ever remember him doing in that whole first half was giving the ball away every time he got it. Even when he switched to the left and Cortez went to the right, he looked ineffective. And I think that was kind of backed up by the fact that Philippe Clement removed him for Diomande Sterling at half-time. He really was exceptionally poor. I think obviously Rabbi Matondo, a big miss yesterday, given the fact that he is obviously out with a muscle injury, but he should be back for the Hearts game. But yeah, Scott Wright, I thought was awful yesterday. And I sometimes wonder why he gets a game. I know that he keeps the structure well. I know that he's quite good defensively, but his end product is poor. He doesn't contribute a great deal going forward. So I really don't know how he gets in the team. I'd love to ask one of the managers, and I love one of the fan media guys who goes to the press conferences to ask, what is it about Scott Wright that gets him selected over others? I'd love to know. I'd love to find out what it is, because I honestly cannot see it in the slightest. Well, a special mention has to go to this man yesterday who scored his 119th and 120th goals for Rangers. In his post-match press conference, Philippe Clement was full of praise for James Tav&The for his efforts on the pitch defensively and offensively. And what was really interesting for me was that Philippe Clement said, despite personal achievements, for me, he is a defender first, and doing his defensive work is more important. That's what he said yesterday in the press conference. And certainly, you know, that's interesting given the fact that some fans have questioned Tav's defensive abilities. It's obvious that Philippe Clement still has faith in James Tav&The, both as a captain and as a defender. I thought Tav played well yesterday. I thought he had one of his good games yesterday. He was defensively sound. He got forward well. He took his 2 penalties. Now, I know it was a penalty, and guys say, oh, it's just a penalty. But I'll tell you something, taking those penalties requires nerves of steel, requires balls of steel. If you think about it, you're stepped up there. You know what's riding on you when you take those 2 penalties, especially in that game. You know, those 2 goals yesterday seal that game and take us top of the league. That's pressure. That's real pressure. And I'll tell you something, I've never taken a penalty under the same pressure as James Tav&The does, but I have taken penalties. And I'll tell you something, the goal seems to shrink when you're about to take a penalty. It really does. And the goalkeeper suddenly looks absolutely huge. So for me, real courage from James Tav&The yesterday to take those 2 penalties and smash them home. To score, like I said, his 119th and 120th goals for the club. Philippe Clement did remark in his post-match press conference about the fact that he said that he's not sure whether there is any defender in Scotland or in Europe who's ever scored as many goals as James Tav&The. Just 120 is absolutely incredible. I mean, I think he ranks 3rd since the turn of the century, since 2000. James Tav&The ranks 3rd for Rangers with 120 goals, and he's a right back. I think that is, absolutely just incredible, absolutely incredible. Just to have that stat is just unbelievable. Like from right back to score 120 goals is just unbelievable. I think he deserves special praise for that. You know, I know he has his doubters. I know he gets his criticisms from from people. I know he does. Of course, I know he does. But look, at the end of the day, to score that many goals is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Philippe Clement was also, full of praise for him as a captain, was full of praise for his lieutenants, as he termed it, which I'm no doubt he means the likes, obviously, of Connor Goldson and also as well, obviously, John Lundstrom. Let's have a quick look now. Top scoring defenders of this generation. So this is Sport Bible is my source for this, and it's the same as using Transfer Market to back it up. Sinisa Mihajlovic has scored 105 goals. Franz Beckenbauer 109 goals. Sergio Ramos 110 goals. Roberto Carlos 113 goals. Paul Breitner, the former German international, 113. Steve Bruce 113. Graham Alexander, 130. Laurent Blanc, 153. That's mad for a central defender. Hierro, who took penalties, 163. Daniel Passarella, 175. And Ronald Koeman, 253. That's pretty amazing, really. 253. He did take free kicks and penalties and played for some of the best teams in world football. So 120 goals would actually rank James Tav&The 6th all time in terms of goal scoring defenders. That is pretty mad and pretty incredible indeed. Well done to Tav for that fantastic stat. And Philippe Clement was very quick to point out as well in his post-match press conference that it's not just penalties that he scores, and obviously pointed out the winner that James Tav&The scored in the League Cup final against Aberdeen. I thought I'd just give a special mention out to Tav. I have criticised him in the past, but a special mention to Tav for the 2 goals that he scored yesterday against St Johnstone to help take us top of the league and make that league table just look a little bit special today of all days on Monday. 2 points clear, a better goal difference, 5 wins out of 5. It's actually 6 wins out of 6. It's actually 9 straight wins if we're going to be picky about this. 21 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats, how costly those 4 defeats could be under Michael Beale. I mean, let's face it, if Philippe Clement had been here since the start of the season, I think we would be long gone away from Celtic by now. They are an exceptionally poor team. Look, one thing I am going to say is let's not get carried away. Look, it's great to sit here and revel in being top of the league. It's great to sit here and revel in another Rangers victory in a real quality game where I think in the past we probably would have drawn that or blown it, with the mentality that we've had in past games. There has been, like we've said, a real sea change in mentality under Philippe Clement. And yes, it is a game at a time. Yes, it is a week at a time, a month at a time. Like Philippe Clement said today, he said it's about improving a week at a time, a month at a time, about getting better constantly, about getting better and showing our very best in every match we play. That's what he said. And he didn't want to be drawn on the fact that, about, is it now about staying top of the league? Is it now about being there at the top of the league and really building on that? He still talked about the fact it was not down to that. It was down to us as a team to grow month by month, week by week, game by game. And he was so down to earth, feet on the ground, and I'm sure that is a message he is transmitting to our players, which gives us every confidence going forward that they will not allow this to get to them. They will not allow it to go to their heads at this point and feel like they've done it already. He talked about being on a special journey. I think we really are on that special journey. Now, if we look at the upcoming fixtures we've got over the next few weeks going into March. Obviously, Saturday is a 3 o'clock kickoff at Ibrox against Hearts. Hearts are absolutely flying at the moment. They're in cracking form and will provide a real stern test for us. Obviously, Lawrence Shankland will need to be watched and watched very closely. And no doubt Stephen Naismith will have them fired up for this game, especially after the circumstances of their last defeat at Ibrox, that 2-1 defeat with 2 late Rangers goals, including that James Tav&The penalty that Stephen Naismith, refused to admit was a Stonewall penalty, but was a Stonewall penalty. So they will be bang up for that game. That will be tough. The game that really concerns me, and I know this is kind of weird to say this, I'm sure some of you will say, oh, stop it, Owen, don't do that. But Kilmarnock away does really worry me. And I know that seems weird to say, us being Rangers and all, Kilmarnock away shouldn't be a worry, but Kilmarnock are in blinding form at the moment. Derek McInnes has that team playing so well. Special shout out to Greg Stewart, by the way, for that hilarious gesture towards the Celtic fans on Saturday. Really did make me chuckle when he went like that at the Celtic fans. Hilarious. Well done, Greg Stewart. What a hero. Hopefully you don't play well on Wednesday away at Kilmarnock. That's an evening kickoff under the light on that hideous pitch. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be an intense one. They'll be bang up for it. And that's the one in the next 4 that does really worry me. We're then obviously at home on the 2nd of March against Motherwell before our cup quarterfinal against Hibs on the 10th of March at 5:30, another evening kickoff in the cup. So, look, I'm looking at that and I'm worried. I'm only worried about that Kilmarnock game, really. But it is going to be 2 tough games and Rangers will need to be on their mettle. I've got the utmost confidence in Phil and the boys that he can get the boys ready, prepared and good to go in those 2 games. That this now is in our hands and we take it a game at a time, a week at a time. And we push on. Thank you guys for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit that sub, help the channel to keep on growing. And as always, on the way out, there's 2 things I always ask of you. Number 1, smash the like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.